Welcome to Los Angeles for the 2024 membership meeting for Friends of Korea. My name is Jerry Kurzek, and I have the honor of being the president of Friends of Korea. And we are an informal organization too, so even though I have a tie on today, we can relax too, so it's okay. And in the next half hour or so, I'll try to give you updates on what FOK, Friends of Korea, has been doing for the past year. And so again, I'd like to welcome everyone here. It's good to be in Los Angeles. The weather is so nice. I came from the Midwest where autumn is descending upon us, and it was nice to see a little sunshine here too. So I appreciate that. We'll have our financial report. We'll have the election results too. And that'll be presented by David Roden and Linda Tobash. And if there's any other business you would like to bring up to the organization, we will have an opportunity for that. And then we'll have the adjournment. Okay, the 2023-2024 board, you can see their names here. We have Paul and Bruce and Jenna and Esther and Ekaterina and Sue and Christy and Danny and Ken and Linda as the executive board members, and the officers are Suzanne Crowder-Hahn. She's in Korea. Myself, David, and James and Janice and Nancy. And again, we are an all volunteer organization. Nobody gets paid, except rumor has it that Nancy Kelly gets paid $1 a year. And don't worry, we'll try to negotiate that down for the membership. Right? So I wonder, if the board members could stand up, though, if we give them a round of applause, because they do a lot of work for the organization. And you can see some of our members, I think many of you know, we started off in 2002, basically a Peace Corps alumni group in a sense. But since then, we've expanded to include members from Fulbright, the youth ambassadors, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and anybody really with an affection for an interest in Korea. So our membership has really diversified. And we have 335 members, of which 286 are lifetime, annual 45, and student membership 4. So if there's anybody in the audience who is thinking of renewing, please do so. Consider annual or lifetime memberships. Or if you're thinking of a student out there that you know, buy a student membership. It's very reasonable at $10. And our annual membership for non-students is $25. And I can say, as I joked before about Nancy getting $1, we try to put all of our funds for the initiatives that we have. So you're not looking at administrative costs with us. It's strictly voluntary. And we have a mailing list of over 3,500 people to reach out. Okay. The highlights from 2024, we're very happy to welcome 24 new Project Bridge Youth Ambassadors. And this is a collaboration with the Korea Society in New York City, and Linda Tobash directs that aspect of it. Angie Pak, who I think will be here later, from California for PCI, Pacific Century Institute. And then we have a group from the University of Montana as well. When we're really looking at the future of Friends of Korea, this is the kind of membership we're looking to. And we had mixers and webinars, since COVID, everything is online now or hybrid, and we're doing tonight. And we've had our latest presentation webinar was by Professor Ramon Pacheco Pardo, talking about a new history of his book, A New History of North and South Korea. And last year, when we had our annual meeting, the Giving Back Initiative, we contributed to the Portland State University East Asian Fund and the Korean Adult Adoptees of Portland, a very interesting organization. We also contributed to the Emmanuel House Orphanage in South Korea. That's in Gimcheon, in Gyeongsang-gukdo, South Korea. And we're very pleased this year, and I think you may be able to see some copies later, we hope, yes, of a new publication, again, through the cooperation of Pacific Centuries Institute about paths of grass and stone. And I'll talk a little bit about that in some detail too. And then we have our regional activities by what we call our liaisons for FOK with the different consulates in the United States, in Chicago, Los Angeles, Boston, etc. And I'll talk a little bit about the latest one that we have. So these are some of the highlights of 2024. All our activities are based on the three pillars, anchors of our organization. It's education, it's networking, it's philanthropy. And here are some examples. As we talked about education, David Roden, sitting here, Dave just did a program in the greater Detroit area where people shared stories of their experiences with Korea. And I understand you use the latest AI to enhance some of these stories as well.
Yeah, it was pretty weird, actually. Somehow the thing used a British voice, so there was four of us former Peace Corps volunteers, and we had written up stories, but then the British voice presented it, and it was cute, and it had some good, pictures with it, but I still thought it was a little weird.
How does David Roden sound with a British accent?
Pretty straight.
Okay, well, you can see that Consul General Kim Jung Han from Chicago even wrote back complimentary things about the event, and he said, well, how individuals from different cultural backgrounds can foster and deepen friendship beyond borders, and that's really, I think, what we get. Yeah. You can probably hear me better this too, but hopefully in this room, you can hear my voice in it. And I'm sorry I'm speaking so quickly, but we have a very great and interesting public program coming up, so I want to make sure we have a lot of time for that. So again, here are some pictures from the event, and you see Dave in action. And again, as Friends of Korea, having started off with Peace Corps volunteers, we're looking to diversify membership and recruit members from events such as this.
I have a question.
Yes.
Was that event any way it was recorded that be kept for posterity?
Yes, the answer is yes. I don't have that with me today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a way to get that distributed a little bit more easily.
Yeah.
And there's a Korean lady that's sort of in control of that process.
Okay.
But I would absolutely love to share it because it was very heartwarming. And especially the thing that I really loved about it was we had so many young people that had been inspired by K-pop and Korean culture. And it was just amazing to me. And their views were so different. I mean, we all knew Korea through the lens, really. We knew about the Korean War and all that. But they were talking about, they had a picture of Cardi B with ramen. And I thought that was a interesting photograph. To think that there's a whole generation of people that know Korea through K-pop and through dramas and all of that.
Exactly.
And I will endeavor to get that procured for us.
I would encourage, I think, to get even more impact from this group. I think the more we can do to leverage it, something, all that work goes into that, all those fantastic memories, make people more broadly shared, if there's a better way to communicate.
Right, and as you can note on that bottom picture, and actually the upper right a little bit, pretty well attended, 106.
Yeah, so looking at, that's great.
106 people in the bottom one you see there. There's a mixture. There's an African-American lady there. There's other people there from the Detroit area that all come together for a love of Korea.
Exactly.
So good stuff.
Yeah, very, very good. In fact, Professor Pak, if you have some students out there at USC, please let them know about Friends of Korea. Not to put you on the spot. All right. And then some past initiatives we've had, we've done seminars and workshops for high school students in the eastern part of the United States, attended some Korean teacher association meetings to let them know about Friends of Korea, what we've done. We produced actually a DVD and now on YouTube about called the Korean Transformation. And it's all about the dramatic changes you've seen in Korea in the last 50 years. And we produced a study guide to go with that, so social studies teachers can use that in their high schools and diversify their lessons, focusing on Asia, and have students also learn about diversity in their local communities as well too. So over 300 copies of that has gone out as well. Okay, so to do these activities, we can't do it all by ourselves. So we have a lot of partners and networking that we engage in. And of course, the Consul General, and Paul knows that very well, and Sherry, you know, how they've been so, and Nancy, they've been so supportive in the Los Angeles area. And that happens in Chicago, happens in Boston and throughout the United States, Austin, Texas, when we have a meeting down there as well. And we also partner with the Korea Society of where Toby is at right now, the Pacific Century Institute with the Youth Ambassadors Program, the Korean Economic Institute, USC Digital Archives, where they've collected Peace Corps volunteers, photo slides, documents. Ken Klein is back there and spearheaded that for us. And there's non-Peace Corps stuff there too as well. And that's something if you're interested in. And if you have some items, if anybody's cleaning out their closets about things related to Korea, you go, boy, I hate to throw this away, but I don't know if my children exactly want it. Contact Ken, contact us. Somebody may want it. And of course, Ken, you would be busy. And then, of course, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Korea Foundation too have been very, very supportive. The National Peace Corps Association, of which Friends of Korea belongs to, and KOICA, which is the Korean agency that sends volunteers abroad, just like Peace Corps does too. And it's the only country in the world that have accepted Peace Corps volunteers and now sends their own volunteers abroad. So that's something Korea and the United States would be very proud of. Okay, so you look at some of the slides with the Project Bridge Youth Ambassadors. Again, hopefully this is the future of our organization. In the bottom right is the latest trip to Korea. And Linda Tobash has been involved in all these too. And you have any short comments about that?
In terms of the Project
Activities.
Bridge and activities? Yeah, it's actually a very competitive program. The application process is going on. Only 8 students are selected from New York. Public high schools, 8 from LA public high schools, and the University of Montana picks 8 from across the entire state of Montana. It grew out of a response to the LA riots and sort of growing a better understanding about Korean Americans in the community with other urban youth. Adding Montana is really critical because one of the biggest tensions in the US these days is the urban-rural divide. So bringing in that rural voice and the indigenous voice, but the entire focus is focused on Korea. Korea is a case study. It's an academic year-long program with workshops in our regions and together, and a 10-day study tour, topping off with community presentations, and they do in their communities with the idea that they will go forward with a better understanding, a love of Korea, and promote all things Korean in the US.
That's great. Yeah, we really enjoy having them in the organization. Okay, and as I talked a little bit about the latest publication, Paths of Grass and Stone by Robert Kowalczyk and Lou Spaventa, they combined with Bob's pictures and Lou's poetry to put together a wonderful volume. I've had a chance to look at it. And actually, one of my colleagues at school, who was a Peace Corps volunteer in Liberia and is teaching at our university, he used it just yesterday in a class. So already, you know, it's being used out there. And so the nice thing about this too, not only with the great poetry and the pictures, and it depicts really a Korea of the late 60s, 70s, you know, time that most people have forgotten about in a way, especially the young folks, of course. But the authors are not accepting any royalties for the book. Anybody that would like to get the book, and we have a QR code up here too, if you got your smartphones out there, you don't have to pay for the book, but the authors have asked if you would like a copy, you can go through Friends of Korea, you would pay shipping and handling, but you don't have to pay for the book. But if you wanted to make a donation, and it could be to Friends of Korea for the Giving Back Initiative, or it could be another Korean American or Korea-related social organization. If you do that, they'd be most appreciative too. So if you go, it's on the front page of our website right now too, and it really is wonderful. If you read it, the poetry is outstanding, and the pictures are very, they bring out emotions with you as you look at it. Positive. Okay, and again, with the Korea Foundation and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We are continuing the Peace Corps revisits to Korea. In next week, there will be 29 people landing in Seoul for a week of activities, visits to their former sites. It could be a school, health clinic, wherever they served. And they'll also, in the seminars and lectures, get up-to-date information about modern day Korea. We have people between the ages, there's some family members going, they're younger, but I'm talking about return volunteers from ages 68, I think is the youngest, up to 91. And there's a K1 and a K51, the first group and the last group too. So how fun is that? Okay, and then philanthropy too, as we've talked about, what we try to do is, give back. And that's the third goal of many of us who were in Peace Corps. The third goal of Peace Corps was to have people in the United States learn about the country you served in. And we try to do that through our Giving Back initiative, in addition to the other activities we do. You'll see some pictures here where we were in Northern Virginia. We were in San Jose with Janice, by the way, organized that very well in 2019, right before last one before COVID that we had. And then down below last year, again, you see a picture of the adult Korean adoptees of Portland and Greg Caldwell too, and that's when we had our annual meeting there. So since 2014, when we initiated the Giving Back campaign, we've given out at least $85,000 to different organizations throughout the United States and Korea. And here are some examples for you to see. Take a look. Anywhere from healthcare initiatives, the Korean War Memorial, the Nam Center for Korean Studies at University of Michigan, and the Family Mission and Korean American Senior Citizens in Massachusetts, and the Asian Americans Advancing Justice in Los Angeles. So a broad spectrum of organizations all trying to do public service in the United States and in Korea. And the Giving Back Initiative recipient this year is the K.W. Lee Center for Leadership in Los Angeles. K.W. Lee is perhaps, and you'll learn more about him, is perhaps the grandfather of the Korean American journalism. And the Leadership Center is all about training another generation to have the leadership skills to organize in their communities. And we'll talk more about that in a bit. Okay, we also have the Kevin O'Donnell Distinguished Friend of Korea Award, and that's to embody the goals of Friends of Korea, which is to enhance cultural awareness and create bonds of friendships between Korean Americans. And we select individuals who are exemplary in exhibiting the mission that we have. And you can see the pictures of people we've had in the past, and we are very pleased to announce, here's some of the ones from the past, so you can see the variety. And this year, again, we are very pleased to announce that Kevin O'Donnell Award will go to Mr. John Keaton, who I believe is in attendance tonight. He's over there.
Yes,
And if, and you'll be hearing from John later in our public program, and he'll enlighten us about the history of Friends of Korea too, in addition to all his variety of activities. And as one former volunteer said, he thinks no one in the history of Peace Corps has the legacy of John Keaton. So you'll learn more about that. So thank you, John. He's also served as president of Friends of Korea and initiated the revisits to Korea too. So that's wonderful. Okay, and now we have the financial report, and Dave is going to report on that.
All right, thank you, Jerry, appreciate that. Before I endeavor to present this to you, I was going to make two suggestions very quickly. As you look at your own personal financial situations, we're all of the age, those of us that served in the Republic, where we're doing required mandatory distributions of whatever funds we have in our retirement accounts. So if you haven't identified some organizations that you feel would benefit from that, if you're in that position, I'd ask you to consider Friends of Korea for your mandatory distributions this year, and we will be communicating later some further information on that. And then also along those lines would be legacy. We're all solicited all the time from our schools or different organizations for legacy giving. So I would say that, please consider that as you look at your own personal situation. And if there's wherewithal to support Friends of Korea, we clearly would welcome that support. This financial report is pretty basic. It's a 9-month figure, so it's not complete. So don't be scared when you see dues and donations of less than $1,000. This will catch up second half of the year. On page 7 of the handout here, you can see that we do catch up by the end of the year. So, year over year, we're very, very consistent here. And there's really nothing alarming to report at the basic operation. We do get money from DCI and other grants and donations. There are revisits, so there, during COVID, that all was sort of stopped. And it was tough period during COVID, but we've come back pretty well. So there's nothing here that should concern anyone. I do want to point out, though, that two things. What not displayed here is our checking account balance as of 3 days ago was about $33,000. In addition to that, we have a $47,000 CD. We did do a money market as interest rates were rising. We transferred a sum out from the checking account to take advantage of the higher interest rates. And that's why you see interest income of a little over $1,000. Heretofore, we've not had that. As those rates were coming down, we swapped it into a CD, which will mature in August of next year at a 4.25% rate, which, as you all know, interest rates are now declining and will probably continue to drift downward. So we thought it was a smart idea. Nancy and I and Jerry talked about that, and we think that was a prudent thing to do to catch a little bit of interest income. But I would just say that, we chug along. We'd obviously like to see more members, and we're endeavoring to do that. But for those of us that have been members for a while, please consider those legacy or mandatory distribution funds. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, so you're set up as a 501(c)(3). You have, so anything that comes that way is charitable donation or?
Yeah, you can set it up, and we're gonna give you more definition on this, because I want to make sure that we do it right. And we have to send out a letter that's going to explain exactly how you can do that. You need to identify that, and it's probably good timing now, because you're gonna want to get that paperwork in. Has anybody here done this sort of charitable donation? Okay, so you have done it, some of you. Yeah, so we need to get some detail out on that to you, and we expect to do that here, and we've discussed that this morning, so.
And the balance sheet is on the website?
Is the balance sheet on the website?
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah, it
I
is.
think so,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Anything else? Thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
All right. And moving along now, we have the results of the 2024 board elections, which will mean serving in the coming year. And then the Toba should do that.
Oops, okay. First, I want to give a big call out to Jenna Gibson, who is also on the nominating committee with me. I'm chair of the nominating committee, and another board member, Esther Lim, who is not able to be here with us today. As you can see, and from the earlier slide, we have 5 officers. Officers serve for 1-year terms, so they're elected every year. And so we're very happy to announce that our President Jerry Prizik, Vice President Mayor Susan Crowder-Han, David Roden, and Janice Galpetti again have been reelected for a 2024 term serving as officers. And I also have here as our Chief Operating Officer, Nancy Kelly. For many years, she served as president. And then when she rotated to Chief Operating Officer, that's an appointed position. I put her name there because I wanted to follow up with what Jerry said, that she's paid $1 a year. She's paid $1 a year reluctantly but she must be paid because in our Friends of Korea bylaws, it says that the CEO or chief operating officer must be a salaried position. So that's why she gets the $1 per year. In addition, we elected four board of directors. Boards of directors serve for 3-year terms. We have one new board director who unfortunately wasn't able to join us today. This is Dr. Alan Perez. He's a fairly recent graduate PhD in Korean studies and history from the University of Chicago. And he's now working at Cooper Union in New York in history and actually introducing, that's more of a technical school for those of you who know it, but really building their history department and building their history and Asian America Korean studies department. So we're thrilled to have him for 2 reasons. The second reason is in the aughts, he grew up in New York. He went to a New York public school. He lived in Flushing. His family's from the Dominican Republic. He loved Korean food. And so he applied for the Project Bridge Youth Ambassador Program and he was selected. So he was interested in Korea and the food, but didn't know much about it. And this is true of many of our Project Bridge Youth Ambassadors. But he loved it and he went on and pursued a degree all the way to his PhD in Korean studies. And so we're thrilled to have him and also the advice that he can share with us as an organization of how we can nurture these many, many new Project Bridge Youth Ambassadors that we're getting as lifetime members. So we're thrilled to have him on board and he's thrilled to be on board and has a lot of ideas on that. Our 3 returning board of directors are Paul, who is here today, Christy, and Paul, thank you for all your Herculean efforts in organizing the event this Saturday, this weekend. Christy, who's also here today, and also H. Sook Wilkinson. So they're serving another 3 years. And then in appreciation to Esther Lim, as I mentioned before, is a member of the nominating committee. She's been a board director from 2022 to the present. I say to the present because new board members begin their service at the conclusion of this annual meeting. And they end their service at the end of the annual meeting. So Esther actually came to us she's a program manager at the National Committee on North Korea. That's a not-for-profit in DC, which supports principled engagement between the US and North Korea. And with that, with her insights, we actually gained a lot. So I know, Esther, I think you're watching us as this is being streamed, and we just really, really, really appreciate all your service over the past 3 years. And on that, I will turn it back to Jared. Unless anyone has any questions.
Thanks, Toby. All right, so we're at the point in the membership meeting. If there's any questions that you have for us or other business you'd like to bring up before the board? Suggestions, ideas? See contented faces out there? All right, so what we will do is we will adjourn the meeting. And again, I would like to say thank you very much. And if you want to learn more about Friends of Korea, get your Samsung phones, your iPhones out there. We're just a QR code picture away from you learning more. And we will, and at the table, you also have some QR codes about the organization and also if you're interested in the Giving Back initiative as well.